If it's undercovered, underreported, or a waste of time, you can be sure we'll be heard. Nothing is off limits.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio. I'm Michael Morris. Today with me, my good friend, Joe Reinier. Joe, we haven't done a show since you came when I was doing radio shows, so I'm grateful you're here today.
I'm grateful that I'm here today, too.
Well, I'm more grateful.
Possibly.
I think I should tell people we have known each other probably how long?
I'd say since the 9th grade. So what, 48 years maybe?
And we've been friends about one of those years?
It's a stretch, but yeah. We can count it in months likely. But
it's fair to say that you are a lawyer?
It is fair to say that.
You are in the law business.
Both of those things are fair to say. That's correct.
Have you ever gotten a woman off?
Can you define that?
Let's skip over that because
Okay.
I feel like you're skirting the question.
Yes, I am.
The reason I brought you in
Taking
is...
the fifth on that.
Yes.
There may be criminal charges.
Are we allowed to use the fifth anymore? Or is it the second?
When there are criminal charges. The second, there's only two, right? I think it ends at the second.
I only hear about 2A. That's all I'm hearing argued about.
1 and 2, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's normally the only places you put it.
I mean, well.
Well,
there's...
if she's a giver. Shout out to you ladies that are givers.
Yes. 1 + 2 is 3.
3-hole punch. So the reason I thought you'd come on, because we have a, let's say, 7,000 page, if you printed it out, Facebook Messenger back and forth. If someone read most of this, we'd be in prison, probably in the Ukraine. And we still stand with Ukraine, by the way. They're losing horribly, and that was a joke to do that in the beginning. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about was, because you're a lawyer, and it'd be safe to say that I'm more in the middle, right? I'm more of a moderate. I can see both sides. Do you kind of lean more towards the left, communism, or are you also in the middle on the right side?
Well, comrade, I would say maybe I lean a little left. Actually, I was probably much more left, but the last year or so, I'm kind of more moderate. I've always probably labeled myself more as moderate, leaning left, but I've had some great conversations with a attorney friend of mine, and you're not an attorney.
On another show, I am.
Yes.
But that's beside the point.
Or friend. And he's very much on the right, and he has influenced me mainly because he sits on me and pummels me, and then says I have to agree with him, and that's fine.
That's a good friend.
But yes, it is. And so I would consider myself moderate, but leaning left. Not just below the waist. I mean, just leaning left in general.
Sometimes the wind blows. I know what you mean.
It does. Yes. Yes.
What I think is interesting is I would be labeled a right winger, I guess. There is no middle. What I find interesting is that the political scale, this is being done on purpose to divide people anyway, right? Into parties, which is the same way you divide like sheep. These are the ones we're eating. These are the ones we're shearing. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, no one makes it to their freedom. It's
the illusion of choice, right?
Correct. So I think Bill Hicks, who I know that you're probably familiar with.
Yes.
I remember those in the 90s, him saying these kind of things, and people were like, this guy is so out there, blah, blah, blah. And I think we've eradicated this middle ground to where we're supposed to argue if we don't think the same way on the same subjects, right?
Sure.
What I think is interesting is you can actually find the people that are kind of like in the middle by accident, because they're almost reaching out looking for someone that has a sane thought or can just have a conversation. And the toughest part, I think, is that I don't know that, as I said before we started, I think there are 40% divided equally, 20% on each side that are real far left, real far right. And then you have the 40% that are not, they're kind of in the middle. They can see both sides, but they don't speak up because they're afraid of being attacked, right?
Correct.
And then the rest of those people don't care at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's certainly some apathy out there, but I agree. And again, saying that I feel like I'm more in the middle, there is sort of that fear, but some reticence to speak up sometimes as, well, that sounds a little this way or that sounds a little that way. And I thought you were right or I thought you were left, and then you speak up. And that
Why do you have to be either side?
Yeah,
That's the question.
I don't know. That's the truth. You shouldn't have to be. And again, that's just like what you said. That's kind of the division that's been created. It's the illusion of choice. And I would think, and some have even argued being moderate is sort of a choice also. But yeah, I don't think you have to be one way or the other. But it's certainly that's where you get pigeonholed sometime, not in the good way. To be one side or the other, and you literally only have two choices, and so that's where you have to fall sometimes. But I do think that having more common sense discussions, not like the one we're going to have today necessarily,
no, absolutely
but,
not.
is there's some value to it. And again, like I said, talking to my friend is very much to the right. Actually, I think what a lot of us are, and we just don't use the word very often, is more libertarian, more just. I'm
glad you brought that up.
I think that's a classic.
But doesn't that sound, because people are like, oh, so you made a choice. I think that we're forgetting that the politics is more, it's more about your thought, like where you fall in line, how morally or where you strategically in line. And when you say libertarian, people literally like, oh, what a waste of time. Like you're saying third party.
Right.
So you never really get anywhere with that. You almost have to say, I'm a moderate. And then if you say that, they go, oh, right winger.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're saying right a lot. Are you saying you're right now?
No.
Yes.
Right.
Well, let's. I feel like we were getting really into the weeds right there. We were being really politically aggressive. Let's talk about something that's less aggressive and people don't get upset about.
Okay.
Guns in this country.
Oh yeah, that's
Is anybody upset about guns in this country?
I haven't really heard much about it at all. I mean,
I have not been watching a lot of the news.
Oh, you're talking about water pistol season. That's what
those should be banned.
They should.
I'm going to tell you, those little prick kids, when you're just walking by their neighborhood, you just want to buy some lemonade, shoot you right in the groin. That's not funny.
Well, all my clear plastic yellow water guns all have an orange tip on them.
That's the only way that I know that they're loaded and that you've taken gun safety. Do you take gun safety serious? Because I have a gun in my car and it just kind of like floats in the back seat. Every once in a while, I just wave around when I'm on the freeway. I just want people to know I'm turning. I'm using the bike signal.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Like I need to get over.
Yeah, so you just wave it. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, if your blinkers
wildly.
Out, yes.
I don't just kind of show it. I'm like this, like taxi driver type thing.
I think that's what you should do. That's safe.
Well, I think that the another mass shooting happens, and I hate that term anyway, because anything that's technically more than 3 people is a mass shooting.
Right.
We don't do mass shootings in Chicago or Miami. No. Those are outlawed. So that is just fun. Those are fun shootings.
Chicago's like the birthday party you go to, and it's not the big cake; it's just all the little cupcakes.
Yeah,
and so that's not a mass shooting.
But you still want to go because
you still want to go. You want to get a cupcake, right?
Yeah, you want to like. For me, I don't think I can go back to a Bears game, at least not at night.
Not when they're playing.
No, well, they're bad, which is why I wouldn't go in the first place. But I don't.
It's tragic.
When I think about it, I could watch them lose by 20 and get shot. Or I could stay home and shoot myself if I feel like it. If I want the Chicago experience.
Yes, I think either is a good choice.
I'm just missing out on the train.
With fuel prices, you may not want to go to, but no one's talking about that either. But anyway, back to the guns.
Is there something going on with fuel? What's going on?
Not really. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I thought there was something else bad going on in this country.
No, everything is going swimmingly.
Okay, good. Well,
I mean, if you can swim.
Are we still doing Hope and Change, or is that over?
Well, thanks, Obama, for that one. But yes, no, we're all good.
I'm
still working. I'm on my 729th point of light, so I'm almost to 1,000.
You know what's funny is there were lots of points of light, and no one ever said what were those points of light.
I'm not sure.
I think some of them had to do with submachine guns. My question about guns is, so Canada, Justin Trudeau, purveyor of freedoms.
Yes.
He just banned all new gun sales in Canada, which I think is kind of like after you've eaten going, don't eat any more of what you just ate. In this country, they want to ban assault weapons. Being a lawyer, as we both are.
Yes, of course.
Isn't any weapon fired at a person, place, or thing an assault weapon?
It is, and because you're an attorney, you know the nuances of the law, so you were
I
able
read a
to
lot of law journals this
identify
morning.
that. I mean, I love the, social media is such a great thing, of course, and what it was a few years ago after one of the mass shootings, the term that we don't like. Some guy at a gun range, took the gun and then he ran and beat his friend over the head with it and said, "Oh, this is an assault weapon."
That guy's super cool.
I mean, that was
Nate,
that
book
was
that
like
guy.
hilarious.
Find out if we can get him on the show.
That was hilarious.
He was identified
Yes.
as Dave Freitag.
I think that was him. I could tell he had no bottoms on. So yeah,
Hey, we should that makes Dave
Sans gi. Yes,
Dave is what is the term we use for him? A karate master. I know that's not what he would call it.
that's not the term we use for him.
Well, we can't say the term. Actually,
Okay.
it's a podcast. We can say whatever we want.
okay.
He's a rapist.
Okay.
So
yeah,
he is the toughest man on the
consent.
planet.
he is.
Under 135 pounds.
Yes,
I think it's fair to say that.
yes.
But Dave is also a popo,
He is.
and he trains people not in guns, but in like hand-to-hand combat, which
Right.
makes him like the dude from Ninja Turtles. He is Splinter.
That's why you need to make sure to shoot Dave before he gets within 10 feet of you.
I've always shot him constantly, even when we were in high school.
Right?
And he didn't. He was like, "Why?
Do not
Why?"
let
I'm
him
like, "Because
get
you're
within
crying."
10 feet of you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. So this country is becoming more and more violent, and yay, America! We're number one in violence. We've always been. If you go back to the 1400s,
Yes.
we're the champs, right?
I mean, I think
Undefeated.
we're, America.
Do you think that that's why we got so mad at Germany in the 40s, as they were trying to take our title?
I think there's something to that. I think there's something to that, and you have to knock the champ out, and it just, there's no decision there, and
Kind of like Lakers, Celtics. I gotta make a move. I gotta make a trade, and I'm gonna get Einstein for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that it's odd that Germany criticizes our violence in this country?
That could be considered odd. I mean, they have somewhat of a history that may be considered violent.
Oh, please go into it. I didn't know anything about this.
I don't know. I mean, no one here's grandfather or great grandfather was involved in anything like that. But
Or Argentina. Isn't it weird in Argentina they speak fluent German anyway?
yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
I think there were some immigrants from Germany to
Sure.
Argentina.
They just went on a trip after the war and they decided to stay
that
there
seems like it's
and do
great.
the
It's
same thing they did in Germany.
tropical.
Well, that's not the point. The point being that your opinion, I always state this. I'm not a gun guy. I own a gun just because I liked it. Did you ever see the movie Judgment Night? And they were holding guns like this with their thumbs supine.
Right.
And I was like, that's not how you fire a gun, but it looks super cool.
That is.
That's why I wanted a gun. Also for safety. Now, I should say this. The gun I do own isn't even in my house.
Right.
Okay.
You have to go to like a storage unit. If a crisis
Yes.
comes up, you have to drive
Yeah.
to your storage unit.
So let's say you broke in my house.
Yes.
Joe.
Just pause.
Fuck right
Excuse
off.
me.
I'm going to be back. Stay here. It's going to 15 minutes
dare.
here, right back. And don't touch my stuff.
Correct.
But I do think that you have to have arms because our government can't be trusted to do anything. I don't think that you should have guns because your neighbor chews too loudly and you can hear it next door.
Right.
But I do believe that there is safety in having that. I say that being somebody that does not want a gun for myself.
Right. I would say that I don't own a gun, but then there may be vagrants that show up to my house and want to flog me or something. So maybe I do or maybe I don't. But do I consider myself a gun person? No. I grew up in a household that we did have guns. We had lots of guns.
I met your family. I understand why.
You did. You've gotten the Christmas cards.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I love the Christmas cards of the NRA people.
Yes.
Like, not the people in the NRA, but the kids have guns
Yes.
and all that by the Christmas tree. And I'm always like, that house had to cost $500,000. Like, I'm always impressed
Right.
that they've invested well enough that the extras they buy are guns. Right now, the extras we're buying are milk.
Yes. Milk, formula, gasoline.
Yeah.
They need some guns.
What's going on with formula? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
What's going on that you know all
I
these
mean,
things?
my children are just out of formula, so it's a thing. But no, I do own a lot of guns. In fact, I just got through prom season where I would lend those out to friends so they could take cute pictures while they held the guns
It's adorable, isn't it?
on their daughter's dates. You know,
I love when a girl has an AR-15. It makes me feel like I can look into her eyes safely.
right. And then I love the whatever you do to my daughter, I'm going to do to you. I mean, I was just going to do it anyway, but okay. So anyway,
I feel like that's premeditated murder when you take the photo.
Yeah.
That's like Lee Harvey Oswald going to a meet and greet at Comic-Con with JFK.
If you show up in Dallas, I'm going to shoot you.
Right.
Okay.
Wink.
So
He did shoot him.
He did.
It was just him by himself.
There
I feel
was
like
no one
people.
else.
I feel like people don't understand how 9 shots went off and only 3 were registered. It's fine, Lee Harvey Oswald.
And I saw the puff of smoke in the movie.
Yep.
On the grassy knoll. So
Can we
that has
say
to be
how
something.
fantastic that movie is? That should have started a chain reaction of people asking questions. And people are like, anyway, let's watch Top Gun again.
Yeah, let's watch Top Gun. Yeah, I did need to see JFK again. That's for
Sorry,
sure.
that movie was weird science. Go.
That was great. Kelly LeBrock. Very
Kelly
good.
LeBrock.
She's
Steven
still alive.
Seagal got her in the yeah, but I mean, who wants her now? Actually, I would get with Kelly LeBrock, so I'd be like, dude, me and Kelly LeBrock, blah, blah, blah. I just
Yeah.
wouldn't tell you the era in which I had
don't-
stooped at.
Right. Say it was like 18 months after like the.
I'd
the
say it's in
whole
the
prom shot.
1800s
Yeah,
because she's that old.
Yes, she's getting there. she might be getting there.
I would feel so bad if Kelly LeBrock listens to this show and we just insulted her.
Right. Is the high waisted thong coming back?
Listen,
I want the one
for
that
me
comes
personally, it
just
never went away.
just under the rib cage.
Do you know what
Like,
I think
comes
is
up
sexy
right
on a
here.
woman when that thong goes up to the inner rib cage?
Right, yeah, I want it to be.
Why did Sports
between
Illustrated
the
always
second
have that?
and third rib, right?
I
here.
like when it's caught on
Yeah,
their
just kinda
collarbone.
lock in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sports Illustrated. Can I just point this out about Sports Illustrated because I feel like this is going to go into another subject. Did you see that Jordan Peterson criticized the woman that was on the cover of Sports
I've
Illustrated?
seen the cover. I have no idea who Jordan Peterson is. Thank
Jordan Peterson. I just found out who this guy was, and
Oh, it's
he's
a
a
guy, okay.
Canadian. A Canadian. What I want to say,
They
like
can
a
be
Tony
critical.
Robbins, but he's not cheering you up.
you. Okay.
Okay. But he's a guy that says there's no such thing as transgender. There's no such
Okay.
thing, that he's very faith-based kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, he criticized this woman who was on there that once I understood, I saw the picture and I thought, this woman looks like a left tackle. I understand what he was saying. Why is she on the cover?
She's a guard tackle combo, I think. But okay.
All I
go
know
ahead.
is she
You're not
led
really into
the
scouting.
Pac-12 in pancake blocks
Nice.
and pancakes. But I
Nice.
understand that we're in this new softer world. I think just to piss everybody off.
I mean, literally?
Yeah, well, she was soft,
Yes.
more doughy. But when I see things like this, and those are the arguments we're having, I think that is wiping out the real conversation because we can't. Going back to guns, we were talking about guns earlier.
Were we?
Going back to that, I think it's an impossible task to get rid of those guns because people, if they bought them illegally, even if they got them illegally, you won't even
Yes.
know that they have them. You see what I'm saying? There is no solution to this. I feel like we just go round and round and round and there's thoughts and prayers and all that. Nobody gives a shit. The best example is this. The company that made the AR-15, I don't know the guy's name, so I'm going to call him Julio Franco.
Okay.
I think it's just a name I pulled out of the air.
78 years old.
Yes.
And is hitting 285, but go ahead.
He's still playing in the Mexican
Yes.
League. That guy was a baller. But what I will say is when Julio goes and shoots up the school, they're pinning it on that gun.
Okay.
And they're saying, we've got to stop these guns. The manufacturer of those guns just got a $9.8 million contract from our government to manufacture those guns anyway.
That can't be true. We may have to stop the recording. I need to check this out.
If you would
This is-
please stop this entire,
can
just
you-
delete it.
There's a set of encyclopedias out there. Can we get those out?
You know
Check
what?
that out,
Remember when those
please.
guys used to come door to door and sell those?
They did.
Do you know what those guys do now? They hang from a noose. Those guys could never sell a book.
Right. Yeah.
26 books.
Yeah. Like yeah.
Have you ever read an encyclopedia?
Not all of them, no.
Do you want to?
I just read
How many
X.
books do we have here? I think we got to have an encyclopedia.
I read XYZ and I'm still an X. Because
First
X
of
is the
all,
best, right?
What a shit way you combine those last 3 letters into something. Like you just got lazy at the end.
Yeah. I mean, that's,
That's like every Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Towards the end, it's like, okay, just get it over with. Tie it all together, XYZ. Oh, that's going to be my new way to end the show. I won't even have it
Pirates
end.
of
I'll just go, no, why would I do Pirates of the Caribbean?
Or
If anything, I would do Fast and the Furious.
there you go.
you notice how they're always tied up? First of all, you're getting me off the subject because Dom only uses shotguns.
Yes.
Are we just a handgun and shotgun? Can we have a bill that says this is the Dom scenario?
The Dom scenario? Yes.
Yeah, not your son,
Like,
Dominic Toretto.
oh, okay. That you meant to bury.
Dom to Barry scenario.
I do have a
where
pasta recipe I want to share before we're done, but if that's okay with you.
that guy's clutch. I think that what's funny is when you look at the two sides, it's almost like the left says they hate guns.
Yes.
Now they have guns, they just hate them.
Yes.
And the right loves guns and joins the NRA to keep the NRA in business. I actually know people that have an NRA membership and don't have a gun. And it's kind of like you're feeding the beast on both sides.
You are feeding the beast on both sides. So yes, there was a shooting, and this was the AR-15, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, I know, the kind of the poster child of the assault rifles. You know, the ones I beat
It's
you
the
over the head
Cindy
with.
Crawford of
It's
assault
the,
weapons.
yes, it is the you fold it out and right. I think that I've actually, I've seen a few memes on Facebook because I'm on there. I log on every few days or so just to see what's going on, what Mike Morris have to say. And the one is interesting about when they're talking about, it's from the left, of course, banning AR-15s. And I think it makes a logical point. It's like these police officers apparently, and I know the information is still coming out, did not want to go in and take this dude on with an AR-15.
Right.
That might be a good indication that weapon is
That is kind of a funny thing.
Is sort of daunting, is sort of intimidating, and it's it goes without saying how tragic the whole thing was. And I haven't read much about it because this one in particular, for some reason, just kind of got me. And like some of the details, like I don't. Cops show up and their kids are in there, or
how about the parents that ran in and got their own kids?
Yeah, it's insane.
They cuffed a woman.
Insane.
She convinced them to uncuff her, and she ran in and got her own kids.
I didn't even hear that one. It's just the whole thing is insane, and so I think that and going back to buying them, and again, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I don't know all the gun buying regulations because I don't buy guns, but we've got an 18-year-old kid, and he gets the gun, he gets the thousands of rounds of ammunition, he gets the body armor, and it's like,
well, here's the other thing: body armor, if he had it, was not on him at the time.
Okay,
the police put that out there. Here's what I don't understand. Okay, I think we've all seen. You ever see the movie Blank Man? This is gonna fit.
Blank Man, is this
it's a Damon Wayans movie where the suit is bulletproof. This is the only reason that stuck with me.
I thought it was the Kevin Bacon one where he was...
That's Footloose.
Oh, that's right. I was getting mixed up. Go
ahead. One is about a small town in Indiana where you can't dance, and the other was a black superhero.
Yes.
But his suit is bulletproof.
It's not Handyman, is it?
It's based on the Handyman character. That's nice. The funniest part. I'm glad you're bringing this all together. Right. But here's what they say. He's not wearing anything on his head, and they go, well, just shoot him in the head. Right. And every time I've thought about, well, the guy has body armor. Is he wearing a helmet? No. Then pin him right here.
Right.
You're marksman. Like, you have guns. You train with guns. If they gave me the gun, they're like, he's 100 yards away. Get him. I'm not Chris Kyle. I couldn't hit him. You shoot every single day.
Right. Yeah, either way, I mean, we obviously, I think you mentioned 2A, which I think is the Second Amendment. Is that what that means? People talk about that sometimes. So we have the right to bear arms per the Second Amendment, but I would think we have a bit of a government bureaucracy. I think here in the United States, I think so. There are a few employees, and
I'm gonna look into that. We got
in the federal government. I think there'd be some red flags when whoever, for whatever reason, just starts buying up this amount of, whether he had the body armor or not, whether it's true that he bought body armor. Again, buying this amount of weapons and ammunition, I just would think would raise some red flags. I think he had some mental health run-ins as a youth. I think he had just kind of turned 18 or was 18. But I just think there would be some, the obligatory red flag there when this happens. And then again, the other part of it is another thing that we hear from gun proponents. Again, I'm not an opponent of guns, but from gun proponents is, the good guy with a gun. I mean, we literally, and also support law enforcement, but it's like we literally have law enforcement there. And like you said, some parents, because it's more of an emotional charge, their children are in there, they're going in. But I don't know that we really have like the cowboys driving by, with the guns and like, okay, we're going to save this situation.
Right.
I think that's kind of like a fantasy, kind of like your Cindy Crawford fantasy you were telling me about before the show, and your Elle McPherson.
It will never end.
And
I
all
only
that.
like 60-year-old women.
I mean, they're amazing. So yeah, where are, I'm not saying people have to be the hero, but where are the heroes? I mean, where are the people that are going in, intervening in a situation?
Are you saying that because I Need a Hero was in the movie Footloose?
Did you ever know that you could be a hero?
Do you know
You
who?
could be my hero.
Wow, there goes my hero.
There he goes.
And you know what?
Watch
there
him.
goes this show.
There
That was
he
a
goes.
perfect way to end.
Watch him as he goes.
The funniest part, we didn't have any of this written down. I fucked up. Our sponsor for today was the NRA. You've been listening to Broad Street Radio. We'll see you next week.